If you use Windows, here is what Microsoft is quietly engineering for you. A hardware requirement that makes your current PC obsolete, even if it runs perfectly well. A subscription model that has already raised prices twice in 3 years and is raising them again in July 2026. And a flagship AI feature so poorly secured at launch that universities blocked it outright. This is the architecture of Windows 12. By the end of this video, you'll know how it works, what it's going to cost you, and how to get ahead of it on your own terms. October 14th, 2025. That date has already passed. Windows 10 is no longer receiving security updates from Microsoft. Whatever vulnerabilities get discovered in Windows 10 from this point forward stay open permanently, because Microsoft has no obligation to patch them anymore. Attackers know this. They specifically target end-of-life operating systems because the holes never close. According to StatCounter, Windows 10 was still running on roughly 63% of all Windows PCs globally as of late 2025. Windows 11, the version Microsoft has been pushing people toward for 4 years, had only reached about 34% market share. That means the majority of Windows machines in the world are now running an operating system without security support. Microsoft did create a paid lifeline for Windows 10 users called Extended Security Updates. For consumers, that's approximately $30 per year to keep receiving critical patches. It buys time. It does not solve the problem. And Microsoft has been explicit that it is a temporary bridge, not a permanent home. Estimates from multiple sources suggest that somewhere between 200 and 240 million Windows 10 PCs cannot meet the hardware requirements for Windows 11 at all. The mandatory TPM 2.0 security chip requirement that Microsoft introduced with Windows 11 locked out a massive installed base of machines that are otherwise completely functional. Those users cannot simply update their way out of the situation. They are already being pushed toward new hardware, and the requirements for what comes next are going to be significantly higher. That's the foundation of the trap. A hard deadline that creates urgency, hardware requirements that block a free escape, and a paid extension that keeps the meter running while Microsoft builds the next stage. Microsoft has not announced a product called Windows 12 with a confirmed name, price, or release date as of early 2026. What Microsoft has done is build and partially ship the core architecture of whatever the next major Windows release will be, and that architecture tells you everything you need to know about what's coming. The platform is called Copilot Plus. It is not a minor feature update. It is a new hardware tier that Microsoft has defined as the foundation for the next era of Windows. And here is exactly what it requires. Your PC must have a neural processing unit, an NPU, capable of running at least 40 trillion operations per second or 40 terabytes. Your machine must have a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM, specifically DDR5 or LPDDR5 high-speed memory. It must have at least 256 gigabytes of SSD storage. These are not recommendations, they are confirmed, published hardware requirements from Microsoft's own product pages. The processors that currently qualify are Qualcomm's Snapdragon X series, AMD's Ryzen AI 300 series, and Intel's Core Ultra 200V series. If your PC doesn't have one of these chip families, or another NPU that hits the 40 TOPS threshold, it cannot run the Copilot Plus features Microsoft is building the next generation of Windows around. Full stop. Now think about what that excludes. We're not talking about decade-old hardware. Laptops and desktops, purchased in 2021, 2022, and 2023, machines that run every piece of current software without any trouble, are already being treated as second-tier hardware in Microsoft's roadmap. Features being built into the Windows platform don't run on them. Applications developers write to take advantage of Microsoft's AI capabilities won't function properly on them. Yet Microsoft has already created a two-class system within its own ecosystem, and the lower class contains the majority of Windows computers currently in use. In January 2025, Microsoft raised the price of Microsoft 365 Personal from $69.99 per year to $99.99 per year. Microsoft 365 Family went from $99.99 to $129.99 per year. The stated reason was Copilot AI features had been added to all Office applications, and the price increase reflects that added value. The Microsoft did create a downgraded Classic tier at the old price for users who don't want the AI features, but Microsoft itself noted in its support documentation that the Classic option is available for a limited time. The opt-out has an expiration date. In December 2025, Microsoft announced another round of price increases, this time for commercial Microsoft 365 subscriptions, effective July 1st, 2026. And sitting on top of all of this is Microsoft 365 Copilot Pro, premium AI tier within Office applications, at $30 per user per month. That's $360 per year on top of the base Microsoft 365 subscription for users who want full AI functionality in Word, Excel, Outlook, and the rest. Let's put those numbers together for a single user. A Microsoft 365 personal subscription at the new price $99.99 per year. Add Copilot Pro if you want the full AI feature set, $360 per year. That's $460 per year, ongoing, for what used to be a one-time software purchase. And this is before you've spent $1 on the hardware that Microsoft's next platform requires. Microsoft raised commercial Microsoft 365 prices in 2022. It raised them again in 2025. It's raising them again in July 2026. Every single increase has been justified by the addition of AI features. The pattern is not subtle. Features you didn't ask for get bundled into your subscription. The price goes up to cover them. The option to not pay for those features either doesn't exist or is available for a limited time. This is a deliberate commercial strategy, and it has been executed on a reliable schedule. There's one specific feature in the Copilot Plus platform that reveals more about where Microsoft is taking Windows than any pricing announcement or hardware spec sheet. It's called Recall, and its history is one of the most instructive case studies in modern tech. Here's what Recall does. Every few seconds, it takes a screenshot of your entire desktop. It feeds those screenshots into an on-device AI model that performs optical character recognition, reading the text in everything that appeared on your screen. It then stores all of this in a searchable database, so you can later ask questions in natural language and retrieve anything you've ever seen on your computer. Microsoft announced Recall in May 2024 as the centerpiece of the Copilot Plus launch. The technology community's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Within days of the announcement, security researcher Alexander Haganah built a tool called Total Recall that demonstrated a foundational problem. The database where Recall stored all of its screenshots was unencrypted, sitting in plain text on the device. Any malware that gained local access to the machine could extract the entire history, every password that appeared on screen, every banking page, every private message, every medical record, every document. Everything, security researcher Kevin Beaumont, a former Microsoft senior threat intelligence analyst, described the feature publicly as a potential disaster. Microsoft pulled Recall from its planned June 2024 launch. It then delayed the rollout in October, delayed it again in November. A preview finally reached Windows insiders in December 2024. The company re-architected the database with encryption, added Windows Hello biometric authentication requirements, and made the feature opt-in rather than opt-out by default. These were genuine improvements, but the privacy-focused messaging app Signal added a screen security setting that blocks Recall from capturing Signal conversations. And that setting is enabled by default for Signal users on Windows. Signal shipped a defensive countermeasure against a Microsoft feature before that feature even launched publicly. Brave Browser and AdGuard followed with similar protections in July 2025. The University of Pennsylvania's Office of Information Security investigated Recall in April 2025 and published its conclusion. The feature introduces what it called substantial and unacceptable security, legality, and privacy challenges. Penn blocked Recall across all managed university systems and urged administrators of other Windows environments to do the same. Recall finally reached general availability in April 2025, nearly a year after its original announcement. multiple complete re-architectings and institutional blocks from universities and organizations that did not want it running on their devices. Here's the point this history makes. Recall is not a minor feature. It is the headline capability of the entire Copilot Plus hardware platform. The reason Microsoft told you that you needed 40 TOPS of NPU performance and 16 gigabytes of high-speed RAM. And Microsoft shipped it, initially, with an unencrypted database of everything you had ever done on your computer. By the time you add up the delayed rollouts, the forced re-architecting, the institutional blocks, and the third-party apps building defensive countermeasures against it, you have a complete picture of how Microsoft handled user security in the process of deploying its flagship AI feature. That picture is relevant to how you evaluate everything else Microsoft is building into the next version of Windows. A Windows 10 support deadline creates genuine urgency for hundreds of millions of users. Hardware requirements for Windows 11 and significantly higher requirements for the Copilot Plus platform that underpins Windows 12 mean that urgency cannot be resolved by a free software update for a large portion of those users. The subscription cost of using Microsoft's productivity software has increased in 2022, 2025, and is increasing again in 2026, with each increase justified by AI features bundled into plans regardless of whether users want them. So the AI flagship feature built on top of all of this hardware investment launched with a critical security failure and had to be pulled and rebuilt. And the classic pricing tier for users who don't want to pay for AI features is explicitly described by Microsoft's own support documentation as available for a limited time. Every component of this structure points in the same direction. Spend money now on Microsoft's timeline and expect to keep spending more. Look, if your machine cannot run Windows 11, the $30 per year extended security updates program buys you time without rushing you into a hardware purchase. Use that time to make a planned decision, not a panicked one. If you're planning to buy new hardware and want to stay on Windows, buy to the Copilot Plus specification, 40 TOPS NPU, 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 256 gigabytes of SSD, or you risk buying yourself a short runway. A machine that meets Windows 11 requirements today but falls short of the Copilot Plus threshold is likely to be in the same locked-out position in 3 years that Windows 10 machines are in today. The first wave of Copilot Plus hardware had driver and compatibility issues, particularly on the Qualcomm Snapdragon X platform. Those issues have largely been resolved. The second generation of these machines from AMD and Intel as well as Qualcomm is more mature. Prices have come down from early adopter levels. If you're buying Windows hardware right now, this is the tier to buy into. If you want to exit the Microsoft ecosystem entirely, Linux is no longer the theoretical alternative it was 5 years ago. Distributions like Linux Mint and Zorin OS are designed explicitly to feel familiar to Windows users, install on older hardware that Windows 11 won't support, receive ongoing security updates, and cost nothing. For the mainstream uses that most people actually need from a computer, web browsing, documents, email, video streaming, they handle everything without a subscription. The honest limitation is specific. Windows-exclusive professional software and some games require additional work on Linux, though gaming compatibility through Valve's Proton layer has improved substantially. If your computing needs are primarily general purpose, this is a real option, not a fallback. Thus, if you use Apple devices or are open to switching, macOS supports hardware going back to 2019 in many cases, and its operating system doesn't tier features behind NPU hardware requirements the way Microsoft's Copilot Plus platform does. The upfront cost is higher, but if you're already calculating new Windows hardware plus rising subscription costs over a 3 to 5 year horizon, the comparison is worth running with accurate numbers rather than assumptions. Windows 12 is already here in everything but name, and it's built on a hardware requirement that excludes most current PCs, a subscription model that has raised prices 3 times and isn't done, and an AI flagship that launched with a security failure serious enough for institutions to block it outright. That's the structure Microsoft has built. You've now seen all of it. What you do with that information is up to you.